There is a slow, quiet pattern unfolding in American grocery stores right now that almost nobody is talking about. Specific items, ones that have been on those shelves for 50, 80, sometimes 100 years, are quietly going away. Not dramatically, not overnight. The product is there one week, the brand selection shrinks the next week, the shelf space gets reassigned the week after that. Eventually, the item is simply no longer where it used to be. And most shoppers walk right past the gap. The reasons are not what most people would guess. There is no single villain. The disappearances are happening because of slow, documented, structural causes. Citrus disease that has been spreading for 2 decades. Climate disruption in West African cocoa growing regions. Fishery quotas tightening over years. Dairy consolidation that reshaped American cheesemaking. None of these are panic stories. They are unhurried, well-documented shifts that you can read about in U.S. Department of Agriculture reports, in international fisheries data, in peer-reviewed research from major universities. There is one item on this list whose American production has dropped 92% over the last 20 years. The U.S. Department of Agriculture documented it. Most households still have it in the refrigerator every Sunday morning and have not realized how close it is to becoming a specialty product. There is another item on this list that one of the largest American manufacturers warned could be subject to $100 million in new costs that cannot be solved by buying the ingredient elsewhere, because that ingredient does not grow in the continental United States. 12 pantry items, counted down from familiar to genuinely surprising. Every disappearance grounded in a sourced cause. The action prescription at the end is small enough to do on your next normal grocery trip. Let's begin. Number 12, glass-bottled juices. This is the smallest item on the list, the kind of thing you do not notice until the day you reach for a specific brand and the shelf is empty. Specific juice brands that historically came in glass bottles are quietly disappearing from grocery store shelves across the country. The replacement is the same juice in a plastic bottle or a paper carton. The cause is straightforward. Glass packaging has consolidated dramatically in the United States. Beverage manufacturers have moved toward plastic and Tetra Pak for cost reasons. The juice itself is the same. The packaging that signaled quality to a generation of shoppers is going away. For a household, this matters in 2 ways. Glass bottles preserve the flavor of acidic beverages better than plastic, which can interact with the contents over months of shelf storage. And empty glass juice bottles are some of the most useful free containers a kitchen can have. Repurposed for everything from homemade salad dressing to cold water in the refrigerator. A 64-ounce bottle of juice in glass runs roughly $4 to $6 at most grocers, approximate and varies by region. Most stores still carry 1 or 2 glass-bottled brands. The household that wants to stock a few while they are still available is making a small choice that may not be reversible later. The next item is the cheese aisle change most people have not noticed. Number 11, hard cheeses from small American dairies. The U.S. Department of Agriculture forecasts overall dairy prices to decline 1.4% in 2026, which sounds like good news for cheese shoppers. But that headline number masks something different happening at the specialty end of the dairy aisle. The American dairy industry has consolidated dramatically over the last 30 years. The number of U.S. dairy farms has dropped substantially. The specialty cheeses from small regional cheesemakers, the kind that used to sit in any well-stocked grocery store, are the first casualty of consolidation. The commodity cheese is still abundant. The character is going away. Aged cheddar from a single regional producer, handcrafted Parmesan-style hard cheese aged 18 months or more. The specialty wheels that grace a holiday cheese board for under $20. A specialty hard cheese wedge from a small regional dairy runs roughly $6 to $14 per pound at most grocers, approximate and varies by region. For storage, hard cheeses sealed properly in wax or vacuum packaging can last 6 months or longer in the refrigerator. The practical move for households who care about specialty cheese is to find one regional producer whose work you genuinely like and buy enough at one trip to last a few weeks. The grocery store category of small dairy hard cheese is thinning quietly, not all at once. The next item is the kind of canned protein that has been the gold standard for generations. Number 10, wild-caught Alaska canned salmon. The U.S. Department of Agriculture forecasts the broader fish and seafood category to rise faster than the 20-year historical average in 2026. Inside that category, wild-caught Alaska salmon has its own specific story. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration manages Alaska salmon quotas, and recent years have seen reported salmon run failures for several species in the North Pacific. The fish are not gone, the catchable supply has tightened. For households who recognize wild-caught Alaska salmon as nutritionally distinct from farmed Atlantic salmon, this matters. The omega-3 fatty acid content is higher in wild-caught fish. The salmon are eating wild diets rather than feed. The flavor is genuinely different. A standard can of wild-caught Alaska salmon runs roughly $3 to $7 at most grocers, approximate and varies by region, and is meaningfully more expensive than the canned pink salmon alternatives. The premium is real, and the supply is structurally constrained. For storage, canned salmon in an intact can stays safe well beyond the date printed on the label. Quality holds for 3 to 5 years. A pantry of 10 to 15 cans of wild-caught Alaska salmon, picked up over a few weeks at today's price, locks in a premium protein reserve at a time when the supply trajectory points only one direction. The next item is the kind of pantry distinction most people stopped making decades ago. Number 9. Pure cane sugar. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's 2026 Sugar and Sweeteners Outlook documents that U.S. sugar deliveries for 2025 to 2026 are down roughly 4% from the previous year's record. The broader sugar and sweets category is forecast to rise 8.1% in retail prices across 2026. Inside that, there is a distinction many households have forgotten. Pure cane sugar and pure beet sugar are not the same product as the high-fructose corn syrup that has replaced cane sugar in most processed American food products since the 1970s. For households who bake, the difference matters. Pure cane sugar caramelizes differently. It dissolves differently. It has a slightly different mouthfeel. Many traditional recipes were written for cane sugar specifically. A 4-pound bag of pure cane sugar, labeled as such, runs roughly $4 to $7 at most grocers, approximate and varies by region. The HFCS sweetened version is cheaper, but functionally a different ingredient. For storage, pure cane sugar in a sealed dry container has an indefinite shelf life. There is nothing in pure dry sugar for spoilage organisms to consume. The household that prefers to bake with real cane sugar can stock 10 or 20 pounds today, store it properly, and lock in current pricing for the next year of cookies and pies. The next item is the one on this list whose disappearance is the most dramatically documented. Number 8, Florida orange juice. This is the disappearance that should make every American kitchen pay attention. Florida orange production has dropped 92% over the last 20 years, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. At the industry's peak in 1998, Florida produced 244 million 90-pound boxes of oranges. The USDA's most recent forecast for the 2025 to 2026 season is 12 million boxes. That same 2024 to 2025 harvest was the lowest in more than 100 years. The cause is documented, and there is no quick fix. Citrus greening is a bacterial disease spread by a small insect called the Asian citrus psyllid. It has been spreading through Florida groves for 2 decades. Once a tree is infected, the oranges turn bitter and misshapen, the production declines, and the tree eventually dies. There is no known cure. Brazil supplies more than 70% of the world's orange juice exports today, and Brazil is now on a similar trajectory as the disease spreads. For a household, this means real, 100% orange juice is shifting from an everyday breakfast item to a premium specialty product. Imitation orange-flavored drinks made from concentrate plus added flavoring are increasingly what fills the shelf space. A half-gallon of 100% pure orange juice runs roughly $4 to $8 at most grocers, approximate and varies by region. The bottled version, concentrate frozen for shelf life, can be kept several months in the freezer. For households where Sunday morning orange juice is part of the weekly ritual, the practical move is to read the label specifically for the words 100% orange juice, rather than orange beverage or orange drink. and to recognize that the gap between the two is going to keep widening. The next item is one of the most reliable pantry proteins in any household, and the supply pressure is structural. Number 7. Canned wild Pacific tuna. The fish and seafood category in the USDA's 2026 forecast is one of the 7 categories projected to rise faster than the historical average. Inside that, canned tuna has specific supply pressure that most households do not see. Tuna is managed under international regional fishery management organizations called RFMOs, which set quotas and seasonal closures. The Daily Business Index reports that fisheries experts have specifically recommended a 20% reduction in yellowfin tuna catches from 2014 levels to prevent the collapse of Indian Ocean yellowfin stocks by 2026. This is not panic. It is conservation working as intended. But for households buying canned tuna at the grocery store, the slow tightening of quotas translates into slowly rising prices and slowly thinner brand selection. A standard 5-ounce can of solid white albacore runs roughly $1.50 to $3 at most grocers, approximate and varies by region. Chunk light is cheaper. The U.S. canned tuna market was valued at roughly $3 billion in 2025. The cans on the shelf today are part of a global supply chain whose quotas tighten every few years. For storage, canned tuna in an intact can stays safe and good quality for several years. The household that recognizes canned tuna as one of the most nutrient-dense, shelf-stable proteins in any pantry benefits from stocking 15 to 25 cans of various varieties at today's prices. The next item is the kind of pantry diversity that is quietly thinning. Number 6. Specialty rice varieties. White rice as a category is abundant and inexpensive, but specialty rice varieties, the ones with character, are import-dependent in the United States, and that dependence creates supply variance most households do not notice. Basmati from India, jasmine from Thailand, arborio from Italy. Each of these depends on a specific growing region and specific shipping lanes. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's Foreign Agricultural Service tracks global rice markets and documents that tariff structures and shipping disruptions affect the retail availability of specialty rice varieties more than they affect generic white rice. The household that uses these specific varieties for specific recipes, a creamy mushroom risotto with proper arborio, a fragrant pilaf with real basmati, has likely already noticed the prices climbing and the shelf options thinning. A 2-pound bag of authentic specialty rice runs roughly $5 to $12 at most grocers, approximate and varies by region. For storage, white rice, including specialty varieties stored in mylar with oxygen absorbers, stays edible for 30 years, the same shelf life science we covered in our first video. The practical move is to identify the specific specialty varieties your household actually uses, and to keep a working reserve of 5 to 10 pounds of each, rotated through normal cooking. The next item is the one whose structural cause is the clearest and most documented. Number 5. High cocoa percentage dark chocolate. Cocoa is grown in a narrow band of tropical regions, and roughly 60% of the world's cocoa comes from just 2 countries, Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana, both in West Africa. According to Harvard's Salata Institute, cocoa prices on the global market surged from about $2,500 per metric ton in early 2024 to more than $10,000 per metric ton in late 2024, driven by an unusual combination of excessive wet season rainfall followed by drought, plus the spread of fungal disease in West African groves. The prices have come down somewhat since then, but JP Morgan Global Research has stated they expect cocoa to settle at a structurally higher level, approximately $6,000 per metric ton over the medium term. For households who buy chocolate, this matters in a specific way. Manufacturers are responding by quietly reformulating products to use less cocoa, by substituting alternative fats and extenders, and by trimming the high cocoa percentage premium lines that command thinner margins under structural cost pressure. The 70% dark chocolate bar that sat on grocery shelves for $4 to $5 3 years ago is becoming a $7 to $10 specialty item, approximate and varies by region. Hershey publicly warned that potential new import tariffs could add up to $100 million in expenses, and noted that cocoa cannot be grown in the continental United States. For storage, dark chocolate sealed in a cool, dark place stays at peak quality for 18 to 24 months. The Fair Trade Foundation has warned that parts of West Africa could become unsuitable for cocoa farming within 25 years due to rising temperatures. The household that values real high-percentage dark chocolate is buying it at one of the easier moments in what will be a structurally tighter market. If any of this is useful to you, a quick like helps me get this kind of careful research in front of more households. No pressure, just appreciate you watching. Let's keep going. Number 4, solid white canned tuna. This is the more specific version of item number 7. The U.S. canned tuna industry has been slowly standardizing toward the lower-cost species. Skipjack tuna, the smaller species that becomes chunk light, has been gradually replacing albacore, the larger species that becomes solid white, on grocery shelves over the past decade. The reason is cost. Skipjack reproduces faster, is cheaper to catch, and is more abundant in the major tuna fishing zones. For households who have always reached for solid white albacore for tuna salad and casseroles, this is a quiet shift in the category that is meaningful at the dinner table. Solid white tuna has a milder flavor, a firmer texture, and a different visual presentation than the flaked chunk light alternative. A can of solid white albacore runs roughly $2 to $4 at most grocers, approximate and varies by region. The chunk light version is meaningfully cheaper, and the shelf space allocation is shifting toward the cheaper version. For storage, both varieties last several years in an intact can. The household that prefers solid white specifically should not assume it will continue to be the default option on any grocery shelf going forward. The next item is the one most people do not realize is mostly imported. Number 3, American single-source honey. Honey, the food we covered as number 1 on our first video, has a specific U.S. production story most households do not see. According to U.S. Department of Agriculture data, roughly 70% of honey sold in the United States today is imported, primarily from Argentina, India, Vietnam, and Brazil. American honey producers have faced colony losses and falling domestic production over the last decade. American single-source honey, the kind labeled with a specific U.S. state of origin from a specific beekeeper, has become genuinely scarce on regular grocery shelves. The chemistry of honey itself does not change. Real honey from any source has the same 3,000-year shelf life potential we covered in our first video. But for households who specifically want American-produced honey, perhaps from a particular regional climate they trust, the supply on regular grocery shelves is thinning. Farmers markets and specialty stores still carry single-source American honey reliably. A 2-pound jar of American single-source honey runs roughly $18 to $30 at most retailers, approximate and varies by region. The imported alternatives are significantly cheaper and increasingly dominant. For storage, the lid-sealed jar in a cool cabinet outlasts essentially everything. The practical move for households is to know the difference and to source the version that fits the household's values. The next item is the daily ritual most kitchens take for granted. Number 2, single-origin specialty coffee. The U.S. Department of Agriculture forecasts non-alcoholic beverage prices to rise 5.2% in 2026, driven primarily by coffee. The headline coffee story is broad. The story underneath the headline is specific. Single-origin specialty coffees, the kind labeled with a specific country and often a specific farm or cooperative, have their own structural pressures. Yemeni coffee has been affected by ongoing regional conflict that has disrupted exports. Specific Ethiopian growing regions face combined political and climate disruption. Major commodity producers, Brazil and Vietnam, have had recent crop issues that tightened global supply. The mass market coffee category is rising in price. The specialty single-origin category is rising in price and thinning in selection. A 12-ounce bag of single-origin specialty coffee runs roughly $15 to $24 at most retailers, approximate and varies by region. The commodity blends are cheaper and increasingly dominant in mid-tier grocery stores. For storage, whole bean coffee sealed in an airtight container in a cool, dark place stays at peak quality for 2 to 3 years. The household that drinks specialty single-origin coffee daily benefits from stocking 4 to 6 sealed bags at today's prices, especially of any specific origin the household has come to prefer. And now, number 1, the item whose disappearance ties to climate disruption and to a generations-old American kitchen ritual. Number 1. Affordable pure maple syrup. Real maple syrup has been part of North American kitchens for centuries. Indigenous communities tapped maple trees long before European arrival, and the practice has been continuous in Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and the Quebec border regions ever since. The production depends on a specific weather pattern. Maple sap flows when overnight temperatures are below freezing and daytime temperatures climb above freezing. That freeze-thaw cycle is the entire foundation of the season. The U.S. Forest Service and university researchers in the Northeast have documented that climate disruption has been affecting the freeze-thaw window the maple season depends on. The season has gradually been shifting earlier in the calendar, and the window in which the trees produce well has been compressing in many traditional growing regions. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's 2026 forecast places maple syrup in the broader sugar and sweets category that is projected to rise 8.1% in retail prices across the year. The result is that affordable real maple syrup is becoming a specialty product. A quart of real 100% pure maple syrup runs roughly $15 to $25 at most grocers, approximate and varies by region. The imitation pancake syrup, made primarily from corn syrup with flavoring and a fraction of the cost, is what increasingly fills the shelf space. For storage, unopened real maple syrup has, for practical purposes, an indefinite shelf life. The sugar content combined with natural acidity makes it inhospitable to spoilage. Once opened, refrigeration extends its life considerably. A household that values real maple syrup specifically can buy 2 or 3 unopened bottles at today's price, store them in the back of the pantry, and lock in current pricing for the next several years of pancake breakfasts. 12 items, every one of them disappearing from grocery shelves for documented structural reasons. Every one of them with a specific source behind the disappearance, traceable to U.S. government agencies, international fisheries data, or peer-reviewed agricultural research. What ties them all together is not crisis, it is patience. None of these structural shifts will resolve in a single shopping trip, a single growing season, or even a single year. The Florida orange industry has been declining for 20 years. The cocoa structural shortage has been building for half a decade. The dairy consolidation has been unfolding for 3 decades. These are slow stories. The shelves you walk past at the grocery store this Saturday are the current snapshot of these slow stories. The shelves you will walk past 5 years from now will be different. It is also worth being clear about what this video is not saying. This is not a prediction of collapse, and it is not an argument for panic stockpiling. It is an observation about real, documented structural shifts in specific food categories, and a practical case for paying attention to a few items your household values before the slow shift catches up to your local shelf. Here is the prescription. On your next 2 grocery trips, pick up 1 extra of 2 items from this list, only the items that matter to your household specifically. A bottle of 100% real orange juice, a bar of 70% dark chocolate, a bottle of real maple syrup, a can of wild-caught Alaska salmon. Move them to the back of the shelf. The total cost under $30 across 2 trips. The household locks in current pricing and current availability before the slow stories progress another step. Glass-bottled juices, small dairy hard cheeses, wild-caught Alaska canned salmon, pure cane sugar, Florida orange juice, canned wild Pacific tuna, specialty rice varieties, high cocoa percentage dark chocolate, solid white canned tuna, American single-source honey, single-origin specialty coffee, affordable real maple syrup. 12 items. Every disappearance grounded in a sourced cause. Every action small enough to do on a normal Saturday shop. Of these 12, which one have you already noticed missing or moved on your store shelves? I'm guessing real orange juice or 70% dark chocolate. Let me know what your store is doing. Take care.